Hello my friends and fellow VEDSies. I thought I would take a moment today to answer a couple of the questions that Caleb posed to us. So Caleb had 3 questions for us. The first was, is there something you thought was possible because you saw it in a movie? And to be honest, nothing really sprang to mind for me here. I guess the thing that I thought was possible was that it was a lot easier to make a living as a writer than it seems to be in practice. That's one thing that I thought was maybe possible. But I wanted to spend a little bit more time on Caleb's second and third questions. Those being, have you ever purposefully gotten lost? And if you had to take a road trip with your past self, which age would you want that past self to be? So as you may recall from a video earlier in the month, walking has become a kind of meditation for me. I spend a lot of time walking, more so where I live now than back when I lived with my parents, but even then I used to sometimes in the summers just go out walking. Particularly on a weekend, I might just sort of plan to be out walking for 2 or 3 hours. No destination in mind, just moving my body. And I like to see new places, so sometimes I would just sort of look on Google Maps and see if there was somewhere I could go that I hadn't been before. But often, and more so as I get older, I don't even worry about looking at the map. I figure I'll just keep walking until I reach somewhere that I haven't been and wander. So I'd say I actually let myself get lost fairly often, and I feel pretty comfortable getting lost when I'm on foot because I know that as long as I'm paying attention to how long I've been out, I can't really go too far. I can't get so lost that it would be impossible to find my way back or hop on a bus or call for a ride. But I found the question of getting lost really interesting when we think about Caleb's other question about road trips, because I haven't really done any road trips. Okay, so that's not entirely true. When I was a kid, we used to go as a family, drive 7 hours or so to Nelson, British Columbia, where my grandparents live. Just this year, I made that journey by myself for the first time as an adult. And I've been on some other small trips with friends, driving 2 hours or 4 hours. But I've never really done a multi-day road trip where we were driving and stayed somewhere overnight and kept driving. The idea of a road trip stresses me out, and the idea of getting lost on a road trip stresses me out like times 500. But I do think I could handle it, and the past self that I would really like to go on a road trip with would be my past self who's about 21 years old. At 21, I was partway through a university degree. I was very anxious. I had been through some serious relationship ups and downs and heartbreak. But I think the thing that 21-year-old me really could have used is more time spent out in the world. More time spent doing new things, seeing new places, and having someone to do those things with, somebody safe and trusted. When you live with anxiety on the daily, even small things that seem insignificant to other people can take a lot of energy out of you. And I think 21-year-old me was so smart and still had a certain amount of that teenage spark that I miss without all of the angst of being a teenager. Maybe going on a road trip with myself who's just 5 years younger doesn't seem that significant, but I think it would have been significant to me at 21. I think I wouldn't know how to handle my childhood self. My teenage self probably wouldn't be ready to hear the things that I had to say, but my 21-year-old self would be in such a good position to listen. And I also think she would be a fun person to go on a road trip with. And the thing is, if I was driving, I think she wouldn't mind getting lost that much. Because you know what? 26-year-old me is still anxious, but she can handle a lot of stuff. She'd be able to find her way back home. I can't go on a road trip with my past self, but I have been journaling since I was 15, and so I can revisit that time in my life if I want to. Parts of it are so painful, and parts of it are so defined by feeling lost. But the thing that makes me feel better when I'm feeling lost is knowing that you're supposed to be lost in your 20s. At least that's the messaging that I've been getting. And I think that that's really healthy, to let people know that it's okay to get lost, that it's good even. Because no matter how many things you plan for, there are infinitely more things you can't plan for. Well, gang, last week of VEDS, home stretch. Let's get it done. My friends and fellow VEDSies, I will see all of you tomorrow.